and welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Terra Invicta as the initiative in patch 1.0.29, and this run was started on release candidate 6. So if there's any variance between my version of the game and your version of the game, or version of the run, let's say, one way to chalk that up may be differences between the version we started our runs on. So I started mine on 6, you presumably started it more recently. So our run here is going fairly well. We're on the way out to Neptune, which is the last major body before the Oort cloud. And then after that, most of the alien resistance, I believe, is out at their base at the Oort cloud here at Quarrenar. So that's probably where we're going to be headed to next. Don't believe we have any ships under construction right now. Oh, no, I do actually. I have the replacements for one of the fleets building at Earth. So presumably the rest of the fleet's on the way to Earth, so that's one of our fleets that is moving. So this fleet is on the way to Earth to pick up its reinforcements. We've got Atomic Strike on the way back to Earth. We do actually have aliens inbound to Earth, I believe. So we've got one going out to Naiad parking spot. So I think once they arrive and refuel, we should be able to clear the Neptune system. We've got one intercepting aliens upon their arrival at Earth. And we have another fleet going into Naiad. So we actually got 3 fleets going to Naiad, I think. Yeah, we got one there. We got 3 going. Base at Naiad. Yes, we got a base at Naiad. So we're going to have 3 fleets in Neptune fairly quickly. Should allow us to clear the system fairly quickly. As far as meta goals are concerned, we have researched the Earth is not enough. We have the GDP requirement with 88% of Earth controlled. We have the base control for Mercury, Earth, Mars, Ceres, Jupiter, and Saturn. We still have a bunch of fleets, although they're either coming to us, they're in Neptune, or they're at basically the last stand location for the aliens out in the Oort cloud. And then we've got Neptune to clear, which is actually the majority of their major stations, and then the 2 stations out in the Oort cloud before we lay siege to the final station. So that is currently the state of the run as we start up the stream here today. We got our councils assigned to missions. Let's see, confirm an assignment, let time pass. We're in the phase of the game where we're mostly waiting for our fleets to get to where they're going. While just researching random techs in the tech tree, because we're otherwise done with the tech tree for practical purposes.
Offering counsel.
You know, mostly just waiting for transits to go. And kind of researching the entire tech tree so we can have the tech tree researched. Mexico City has been decontaminated. Okay, that'll help with the GDP growth in the United States.
Information.
Okay, so we probably now have enough information to attempt to turn them.
We've turned them to our cause.
In fact, we already had someone assigned to turn them, and I think just succeeded. So that reveals 1, 2, 3, 3. So they only had time to rebuild 3 of their bases. The last couple times was 12. So we'll probably clear those 3 in like 1 set of council actions. To find some more exotics.
Things are cooling off.
We are winning their hearts and minds.
Advanced rail cannon has been researched. And I'm literally just researching cycle the decks one by one at this point. So space facility to sabotage, that's fine. We have enough of those though. The odd one we just don't care about. So we got drives. These are bridges. I think they're mostly between a place that well, a lot of them are between places that I own and places I don't. But a lot of them I don't. I'm not picking up right now because we don't need to pick them up. We don't own both ends. Start with the Greater Australasia, Tunisia. Just pass out some more claims. We don't really need to take over more of the Earth, which is something we might be doing while we're sitting here waiting for our ships to finish the game. Twitch chat chiming in. Hey Will, I hope you are well. You got a pre-roll ad today. Don't think I got one before on your stream. I thought you run ads so you don't or won't get pre-rolls, or do you not run enough ads, or do you know? So usually, by default, I think the pre-roll disables itself. So usually I run ads so that I don't get them. That is roughly what goes on. By default, I have them turned off, I believe. Although you may have just arrived early enough that you got hit with the ad. The Twitch is a little bit weird with the ad placement because I have it on auto ad placement. Because otherwise, I think it's 70-30 split. If you don't have it on auto, if you have it on auto, it's like 50-50. Where I think the first ad is supposed to play 5 minutes into the stream, right? So we've only just started the stream, which is probably why you got caught up with a ad, if I were to guess. So you probably got how best to describe it? Not necessarily sure you got hit with the pre-roll ad, or rather you may have just joined just as the first auto ad played, which is usually 5 minutes in the stream. Yeah, it might be one of those where you just usually join late enough that you're past that ad run, because there's one that auto plays like 5 minutes into the stream. But yeah, by default, I usually am playing ads just clearly. Whenever I'm not gaming, I'll try to get the ads out of the way, so people watching on Twitch aren't hit with them.
Acknowledged.
In the middle of stuff. Go through here. You're saving for Get Rich. You're saving for Wealthy. Presumably is why those guys have got big XP stays. You're saving for probably Famous there. Grab Espionage on you if you had XP. Science if you had XP. And then you actually just need Persuasion because you're new.
Reporting in.
Yeah, let's get you hitting alien structures. We just discovered a bunch of them from turning one of the alien counselors. Right. Just discovered 3.
Gear up.
Not
Standing by for
easy
orders.
ones, but we'll clear them nonetheless.
Gear up.
Just saying, my thinking is that one should not get the ad if it was a placement auto ad and not a pre-roll. Also, it's just odd chance so many people would get these pre-rolls even if they're not and just move on. Yeah, so what I think the ads, because I've tried to set them so they're the farthest apart that they can be by the auto placement. So I think the auto placement's placing a 3-minute ad starting at 5 minutes in to the stream from when I'm streaming it. So if you happen to join the stream between like 5 to 8 minutes into the stream, you might get hit with they're technically, I suppose, not at that point, not pre-roll. I think they're auto placement ads at that point.
Where to?
But yeah, otherwise I have auto ads turned off, or proper pre-roll ads turned off by default setting. So those shouldn't be playing.
We'll restore peace to this nation. I'm here. Get up.
But yeah, so I think you catching an ad when you joined, because you joined right about the right time for it, was probably the auto placed one, not the pre-roll one. Because the pre-rolls should be turned off. But basically they run an ad, they clear for like an hour, but the ads play like every 48 minutes, so they should be cleared as long as an ad has played on auto placement. That's how the pre-roll works. Okay, so we've got our assignments for our counselors. Let's confirm assignments. I'm waiting for things to fly.
Lending my expertise.
Yeah, assets don't usually last for very long. At a certain point in the game, the AI gets a little paranoid and loyalty modules everyone, so they find out real quick. You have arrived at Naiad Parking. Launch to the station that's right there.
Things are cooling off.
With that, we should have 2 fleets at Naiad fueled and ready to go, so we can start to clear Neptune. So it looks like they've got stuff at Desponia. 1 station at Desponia, and then their main deployment of stations is at Triton, with one of the bigger fleets. Let's hit Desponia first, because it's otherwise undefended. Okay, you've arrived. High-level bombardment of the station.
Public sentiment is increasingly with us.
Station's destroyed. And then our next stop is going to be the station over Triton. Now we're fighting a fleet and the station, so to drift in fairly slowly here. Here, rocking kinetics, you usually want to do fast approach. Rocking a laser, sometimes you want to be doing the slower style approach. Guys can drift over the station here. They've got enough ships here. There's actually multiple ways of ships. So we're going to be engaging this first batch of 20, the station, and then they'll start having reinforcements probably coming in at that point. And at this point, we're going to wait. So I can turn the speed up a little bit. Wait until they start to deploy their flankers. At them. That might be them deploying their flankers. Yeah, that is them deploying the flankers. The flankers are not flanking very much today. So the hope is that we can catch some of them in the side as they... or catch the flankers in the side as they do their more aggressive maneuvering across the 1,000-kilometer range. And by doing that, thin the herd just a little bit. The early kinetics here, probably their torpedoes. That's why there's small batches of like 12 or 6 of them coming in. Missiles and torpedoes. Questioning. We're about to cross the good range with you. What's your range? Cross with you actually first. There we go. Oh, it's an open fire. We did lose one of our ships. I think this is because we're targeting the, one of the flankers we're targeting is actually the Titan. So the lasers are actually hitting the side armor. On our case, we're turning to face the guys that are doing the flank. Hitting side arm, exposing the side armor instead. Don't think that was kinetics getting through. Scored 1 kill. That one's dead in the void. We'll let it disengage. Okay. Turn back to the kinetic launchers in the main battle line. Would like to deal with that one, but I don't want to turn to face it. Okay, the one we're shooting at I think is dead in the void. Let's swap to a different kinetic launcher. You guys managed to make it through and destroy another ship. This fleet might have a bunch of kinetics in it. I wasn't accounting for. Comment of the fact that we did expose our side armor with a bunch of the ships. Early in the fight, trying to get one of the flankers. That guy in the back. We got the flanker that we try to get rid of to start with. It's being annoying. It's not common they flank with capital ships, but the aliens do it. Not infrequently. And I probably spent too much time blowing up, trying to blow up a capital ship in the flank. That's really what got us this fight. It's still quite possible we're going to win the fight as well. Just taking an uncomfortable level of casualties. Krishna is asking, can we retreat the damaged ship? The battle of the game only suit for auto-resolve. I tend to find I get better results in the manual fight than I do in auto-resolve. And we could retreat the damaged ships. The problem that I tend to run into when it comes to damaged ships is a lot of what's doing... In fact, a lot of what's doing the kills here is kinetics. So unless I'm able to do quite a bit of maneuvering, which usually isn't the case, ships tend to go from they're not really damaged at all to they explode pretty easily. And to disengage, you got to get out to like 2,000 kilometers. So I tend to run big line fleets like the aliens, to be fair. And the big line fleets don't disengage very well, is what tends to be the case. You could definitely build ships that do an engagement, disengage, do an engagement, disengage. In fact, that's probably how you'd want, if you were to micro, like a missile ship formation. It's probably what you want to do with missile ships, is you dump your payload of missiles or torpedoes and try to disengage. And you can build fleets like that. They're not easy to micro, is probably a good way to describe it. They can be very strong, they're just not very micro-friendly. Okay, I think most of the enemy fleet at this point is lasers, plasma, and what's actually deployed, except for this one down here. We're going to work our way up, lightest armor to heaviest armor. At least until the enemy reinforcements come in. Okay, let's try to hit the ship as it does the flanker as it does its pass. Second wave has come in. 11 new ships have arrived. Anyway, from a exchange standpoint, we were outnumbered 2 to 1, right? We were doing 20 v10. So our fleet is definitely, in raw hull count, outdone the aliens. Most of these explosions of the alien ships exploding at this point, which is not a good sign. There are a couple of flankers out there that are going to come in fairly quickly. Assessing, but most laser cannons only do great when closer to the enemy. If you don't forward as quickly as possible, the enemy suppresses your ships at all times. So it depends on how you have the lasers set up. I actually find lasers work really well at long range. They don't have great armor penetration at long range. That's why you might notice I often focus the flankers, or I focus maneuvering ships. Because that's what this battle fleet's running. It's running the primaries are all lasers. This is a full laser fleet that I'm running. And then it's got plasma cannons for armor duty, for fighting armor. So we got heavy plasmas for dealing with the armor and enemy ships. So basically we want to blow the little ones up at long range and work our way, usually the maneuvering ones, so they expose side or rear armor, and we can blow up the ships that way. Or we want to focus on the lightly armored ones, so we work our way towards the more armored ones that are going to be harder to get rid of. Although I will take opportunities of just trying to destroy or disable kinetic weapons once they're within like 900 kilometers. That flanker's not worth continuing to fire at. Redirect to some of the kinetic launching ships here. Most of the kinetic coming in here are actually missiles and torpedoes. There's another alien that exploded. The flanker finally went up. Okay, that's all the missiles. So that's going to calm down a little bit. Another thing to do when you're running lasers as your primary attack weapon is make sure to take them off, ideally in the blueprint form, but if you wait until the battle, it's not too late. Remember to take them off of Guardian mode so they don't get suppressed by any kinetics. You want your attack weapons to actually attack and not try to shoot the kinetics down. That's definitely a mistake I've made a couple times. We did lose one of our ships, although I think it was the one that was pretty much dead in the void already. Let's try to swap into a different kinetic ship, see if we can get a little bit better results that way. Oh, I'm also in range of the battle stations. That's probably where the hell kinetic's coming from. Okay, I should get rid of the battle station. Ideally, I don't want to be fighting the fleet and the battle station at the same time, but which is the reason I came in. Was trying to drift in slow, so we'd be a decent period of time to deal with the fleet before we hit the battle station. Okay, only two more battle stations on the battle station. We can turn fire to the fleet. That's another ship. Starting to run a little low on plasma at this point. We only got one plasma armed ship left. It means we'll struggle with the armor on the more heavily armored ships. Although, vice versa, most of our PD ships are intact, so the kinetics are actually a little bit less of a worry here. Okay. Looks like most of the kinetics are coming off of either that ship or that ship. Let's go for the top one, trying to bring its weapons offline. Make sure 3-to-1 ratio of your ships to the enemy. Nah, this was a 10v36 and a battle station. And while this isn't looking like it's a great exchange, from my perspective, because I've run 10 ships versus 130 before and gotten away with like 7 intact. So I've done better. Let's just say, definitely done better than this. But this is a game where you are frequently outnumbered by the aliens. It's not uncommon to be like 10 versus 130 or something. Depends on what the aliens are running. The fleet set that I'm running actually struggles the most with large, heavy kinetic weapon bombardments. So there was enough kinetics in there that they managed to down a couple ships. And we lost one pretty early on, I think, to laser fire exposed on the side armor. The extra large Titan class, I think it's X-ray. I think the aliens can get up to X-ray. Lasers can do a number, even on these guys' side armor. These guys only got 25 side armor. I haven't completely splurged for side armor purposes. Next wave of alien ships are coming in. Only 3 more to reinforce the battle at this point. So they're starting to run low on the reinforcements. Here comes the next wave of kinetics. And the next wave of flankers. Most of the next wave appears to be coming in flank mode. Start hitting up the next wave. Can any possible disable the weapons when battle starts? There are ways to disable weapons. In fact, the build here mostly relies on disabling weapons. The plasma does it pretty well. The problem with a lot of the weapon disabling attempts is a lot of the weapons that are good at disabling weapons apply at 10k kilometers. So your weapons, you have to get up to 10k before you can really get them bring to bear. Okay, let's give up on pointing the ship that's about to go up. No, the one we're shooting at's actually dead in the void. It's off to the next gunship. One thing I could have run that I'm not currently running on this fleet is we don't have any utility modules set to ECM. And that would actually probably help a lot against these kinetics, at least early on. So it would delay their opening fire. Here comes the last 3 off the bench. Yeah, all alien ships are deployed now. Ooh, someone got one of the ships to explode real early. Down to 2 ships. So yeah, this is potentially going to be a defeat. Although the aliens have lost all defenses on this battle station, and have lost the majority of their fleet. We only brought 10 ships in; they've lost 20, 30 ships. Load safe, try again with a different strategy? Nah. I can literally handle this attrition. This is attrition the aliens can't handle, but I can. We're late enough in the game. I even have another fleet sitting on the bench. Literally, if they win this fight, we're just going to pull another fleet and delete these guys. This is a fight that, yeah, I lost a fleet. A fleet. They've got 1 fleet here. I've got 1 sitting in port guarding the port, 1 in this attack, and I have a 3rd inbound. Right, the aliens are on the back foot. They can't handle this attrition. I can, which is what's going to end up happening. Right, even if they win here, we're just going to turn around and bring them down. This is a fight they cannot afford to win. It will be very much a Pyrrhic victory for them. What's the results? Auto result for this fight? Don't know. Didn't try it. Probably worse than this, honestly. The AI is not as good at recognizing the strategy we need to use these fleets, for this ship in particular. What is the range out to? Oh, presumably the range out to you is less than 1,000 because they're shooting at us. But yeah, we'll finish up this fight. I'll do a quick save. Command or CMDR Foron in Twitch chat really wants to see the auto-resolve result. So we'll go ahead and, after I do that quick save, I'll reload the battle auto-save, and we'll see what the auto-resolve result would be for the full battle. Well, as Twitch chat saying, is battle damage calculations are very different on auto. Yeah, they're very different. In manual fight, there's a limit of 30 ships in the battle at a time. By default, unless you change the settings. And that's for sort of game stability reasons. The more ships you put in the battle, the more complicated it gets for the AI to maneuver them. But the auto-resolve does not have that restriction. So the auto-resolve... In fact, this fleet would probably do worse than the auto-resolve because it's a 10v36 in a battle station. So the full 36 would get involved. And with the number of kinetics we're coming in, the fleet would obviously struggle with that level of kinetics coming in, I think. But yeah, we'll see what the auto-resolve results would be after we save here. I still think... manually controlling it here was a better result than what the AI would have gotten. At this point, you'll order you to disengage. At least try to. Yeah, it looks like it's probably lost the bridge. It's not maneuvering. So this is a bit of a very slow fight because we lost all of the plasma ships. So the laser ships are capable enough to bring the other ships down, what's still left in the battle, but they don't necessarily have the armor penetration to do it well from range. That's the whole point of having the plasma in the fight. Here we go. So, technical victory. For the cost of 8 ships, we have, well, effectively have destroyed the station here, and all the alien ships docked here, except for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think were completely destroyed. And that's almost enough in exotics to replace all the ships we lost. Salvage. Okay. We are going to go see what that auto-resolve would have been, so let's put a quick save in here. And we'll load the combat autosave and we hit the auto-resolve result on there. So we managed to win with 1 casualty. And as Twitch chat says, a nice fight, I guess. Yeah, that's how I would describe. In fact, I would describe it as a Pyrrhic victory for both sides. Or if they had won, it would have been a Pyrrhic victory. For mine, it's sort of a, we won. It wasn't a great result. For the simple fact that that's, as far as my ships in that system, in Neptune system, that was their last major point of resistance. I still have an entire another fleet, so we just roll the other fleet in and mop the floor with what's left. See if the universe is giving a waving emoji. Welcome to the game. Welcome to the stream. To be fair, the 1.0 or the release candidate AI for the aliens is definitely better. If I was running, it might also just because these ones have decided to run kinetics more than the 0.49 patch aliens. The previous run I completed was on an earlier patch, obviously. In the previous run, the aliens were a little bit less kinetic heavy. So it was fairly easy in that patch to do 10v 130. But yeah, for 10v 36 in a battle station, that wasn't too bad. We definitely handle that level of attrition. It takes more time for the fleet to get to the to Neptune than it takes for us to replace the fleet, so that's not a concern. But yeah, we're gonna see what the auto-resolve result was, and the answer is I think we got a better result by manually fighting it. So this was the fight. We didn't even roll in with full HP, right? We rolled in after doing a ground bombardment on the target. So a bunch of our ships are actually damaged coming in. Combat fleet power-wise, actually 46. So this was a 10v46 with a battle station with multiple battle stations on it. Citizens engage, and then we hit the auto-resolve and see what the auto-resolve would have done. And yeah, the auto-resolve would have done terribly. So the auto-resolve is playing by different rules. Most notably, when you're manually doing battles, the number of ships that can be deployed at any one time is 20. So the battle for us was 20 to 10, with them having an extra battle station. And then they get reinforcement waves every once in a while, or can bring reinforcement waves as they choose. They usually choose to bring in at least 10 ships in a wave. So in our case, we would have never been outnumbered more than a 2 to 1 manually doing it. And this fleet does 2 to 1 very well, with 16, 25, 25 armor loadout. But with that many kinetics, if they just bring everything in and just mag dump us, right? They just dump all the torpedoes at us, they win. Which I think is basically what this is showing, is they had to dump all the torpedoes and such on all the magazines at us to penetrate the PD. At which point, then yeah, our fleet blows up. And yeah, it's a the Twitch chat saying a tactic fight always welcome. Yeah, there's a difference in tactics between auto resolve and in manual fighting. I've got a fleet that would happily handle that fight in auto resolve. Just doesn't actually have the fuel to get out of Neptune. We've got a fleet that I've labeled Atomic Strike, which is 100 monitors with what I think it's 100 monitors with Olympus torpedoes. And that would just be functionally the equivalent of just going to mag dump atomics at the target. There's not enough alien fleets have enough PD to handle 101 ships mag dumping 4 tubes of torpedoes. Those are the sort of fleets you auto resolve, because yeah, you could run those battles, but you're not going to get better in the auto resolve because torpedoes are pain. Well, torpedoes are really nice to play when you're running like 10v10 or 20v20 Or well, technically 15-15. 15-15 torpedoes and missiles are nice. Once you start getting into the really large battles with the aliens and getting multiple waves, you gotta auto-resolve those sort of missions if you're running missiles or torpedoes. That's too much marker for me. Okay, and when we load, we'll also show one of the reasons why that was a mild setback for us. So 684, effectively, actually, 2 of our ships survived, right? So we're gonna have them destroy the hab. And then 664. Good chat saying, what if build more small ships and put them in the second line just for counter of their missiles? Honestly, and in fact, we actually look at my fleet. Let me get these guys assigned to what the task is, right? So we've got 664 in system. They're at Naiad. We're just gonna have them jump into Trident, low Trident orbit to hammer the ground defenses as well. So we'll go look at what I usually run for a fleet. When you're fighting the aliens, and this is part of the tactics that comes into when you're manually leading battles. Click the right tab here. When you're manually fighting the aliens, well, when you're manually fighting anyone in space, the fleet or the deployment size is 30 ships. So the summative you plus them is going to be 30 ships. Both sides are guaranteed to get a minimum of 10, and then the 30 gets divided up on how many ships both sides have brought to the battle, such that the lowest you can get is 10, the biggest you can get is 20. Unless I'm going to build a fleet that's going to match the alien size of like 130 ships, which we have done for one of our fleets, right? We've got Atomic Strike here, which is 100 ships large, right? These guys are probably reasonable to do auto-resolve because you just have 101 ships dumping munitions in auto-resolve. Unless you're going to sort of do that, you're often best to bring your 10 best ships to the fight, or at least multiples of the 10 best, right? So usually if I'm going to do a fight where I think I'm going to do multiple waves of ships, I'll try to bring in multiple, basically the same wave. So we lose 10, I bring the next 10 in. I lose 10, I bring the next 10 in, sort of thing. So we get cohesive defensives. And then, that's not a good example. Can I find a good example? Transferring one to the Naiad's probably worth. And then I do usually a mix of ships. Most of the ships are there really to do damage, right? So they've brought a good primary weapon. So in this case, we're running the ultraviolet phaser cannon. They bring or whatever the good primary weapon combo is, right? So for these Titans here, I'm running ultraviolet phasers and plasma. In this case, that leaves me with a little bit of space. I fill that up with point defense. And then I bring some that are for point defense. Now, in the case of these Titans, 4-slot ultraviolet laser cannons are deadly enough as a primary that they're worth still running as a primary weapon. Obviously, they have a little bit less armor penetration effectiveness than the plasma, right? So the plasmas here really just chip away at armor. But usually you're better off if you have the capacity to deploy it with bringing a bunch of point defense, right? You bring in dedicated point defenders, and you don't necessarily do small ships for the point defenders, right? So unless you don't have the resources, right? If you don't have the resources, then yeah, you go monitors. Monitors get you 4 slots of point defense, right? So these monitors are 4-slot, battleships are 6-slot, Titans are also 6-slot, right? So I'm running Titans here because then I can run a 4-slot cannon as a primary for killing things, and then I'm running 6 slots of point defense. You can drop down to battleship, that would weaken the primary for killing things, or you can drop all the way down to monitors, which are 4 slots. I wouldn't run anything smaller than monitors for point defense purposes. Because if you run anything smaller than a monitor, then you've got the same point defense as my primary killing ships, which are running 2-point defense. And this is sort of an endgame ship build. You wouldn't run this earlier, although you could run this much earlier. In fact, the one that I just brought up that wasn't a good example is me running this earlier, sort of. This is the green phaser, so this is back when we only had green. Two phaser point defense, a heavy Mark II plasma battery, because this was before we were really using exotics in bulk. And this is about mid game. This is about the end of mid game here when these guys rolled in. And they're still hanging around defending Earth. They're the last line of defense at Earth, which of course means they rarely get tested anymore. But yeah, let's get back to letting some time pass, because that's really what we got left here at the end of the run. So, Falling Sword Station has been destroyed, so that was the station we were fighting at. And our 2 remaining ships at Triton will limp back to Bird Station at the Naiad parking orbit after doing a shower propellant, equalized Delta V motion, so they can make it there. And then the garrison that I had at Bird Station has now arrived to finish what that fleet was unable to do, which is completely wipe out the remaining resistance in Neptune orbit. High-level orbital bombardment begin.
Target destroyed.
First of 3 targets destroyed. Targeting the second one.
Target secured.
At the same time, we have our agents clearing up bases on Earth for the exotics. That's actually enough exotics we can get another fleet under construction. So let's pop over to Mercury. We're gonna get 6 laser plasma ships going, and then 4 PD. In 185 days, these guys will be deploying, and we'll probably actually find them straight out to the Orc Cloud. Second base destroyed, and with that, we'll begin the bombardment on the 3rd base. Bombardment run against Ironforge base is complete. Base is destroyed. Back to Naiad for refueling. Or back to Bird Station for refueling. And with that, we've driven them from Neptune. So we do have one major alien fleet on the way to Earth. There's a couple other just minor. In fact, that's the one going... Oh, they got a fortress at Minerva. They were probably just going to ignore, honestly. That's not one of the ones we need to destroy. So as far as our prime objectives, done. Here's the alien fleets. Oh, in fact, actually, the aliens are moving to Minerva Fortress. Interesting. So we'll be out dealing with their main bases out in the Orc Cloud soon. Yeah, we're down to the point where we've got the Orc Cloud, and we just got the alien ships. So there's 2 out in the Orc Cloud, 2 on the way to Minerva. 1 on the way to Earth, and those are basically the remaining alien resistance in Solar System.
Standing by for orders.
Earth. And yeah, we're the initiative, so we don't actually care about there being an alien administration on Earth, as long as they don't, own much of a GDP. let's work a bit to prove your inequality. Oh, proving inequality in the EU is actually surprisingly expensive. Okay. Do a 10 investment. It's not going to be a big swing. Oh, and that decolonized a region. Cool. That actually helped quite a bit, surprisingly. And they'll do a bunch of funding to spend the influence here. And get some more revenue so we can do more welfare.
At your service.
In the last council action, we blew up all 3 known alien bases on Earth, so we need to give them some time to build more bases. Or I start hunting for more bases.
We'll restore peace to this nation.
Ready. We'll turn down the heat.
Okay, let's
They're
go
voting
ahead
in.
and do set national policy on the Republic of
Time
China.
to make a move.
Move a little bit more of China into the Republic of China. And I think we want a public campaign in China for the last person.
What's the op? I will tell our
go.
story.
You in particular want more persuasion. Okay. Remember assignments, let time pass. Anyhow, so during this little episode here, we have lost basically a fleet, but that's fine. We're already queued up the replacement, so it's but a setback. And the aliens lost more than we did, so it's fine.
I will help them.
Okay, they can steal our notes on how to win the game. We got the money that we can fund the subsidies. We'll fund the subsidies. Mitigate the damage. Initiative Fleet Atomic Strike completes transfer.
Violence is abating.
Things are cooling off.
Things are stabilizing.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
Atomic Strike has resupplied. I'm a little concerned about the alien presence around Minerva. Where is Minerva? Presumably in the asteroid belt somewhere. Probably one of the locations I didn't care about in the asteroid belt and skipped. Oh, this is a random alien ship. Let me find where their base is quickly. Thinking of sending Atomic Strike after that base. So you're the one coming to Earth. You're going back to their base. You're going back to their base. You're arriving at Triton. It's not concerning. You're going to Minerva. So that's what I'm trying to find. Trying to find the Minerva Fortress. Oh, it's not what I wanted to see about it. Although it did bring me to where I'm looking for. There's Minerva. So that's the alien base where a lot of the alien fleets are coming. So let's actually send good old Atomic Strike to Minerva. We can arrive in 5 weeks. We burn all the fuel. What if I don't burn all the fuel? If I burn like half the fuel, we'll get there in 9 weeks instead of 5. Sure. And then I don't necessarily need to send the calling ship out to refuel them. Although I probably could send the calling ship out to refuel them, that wouldn't be a concern.
Policy direction complete.
I forget if I start with Republic, if I hit unification, if this is Republic into the China or China to the Republic. We're just going to do one territory transfer so I don't screw it up and do the wrong one. Okay, so this is our replacements to one of our earlier fleets, which should actually be parked in the location. That is not the fleet. Not 376. Or is it not arrived? It might not have arrived yet. It's on its way in. Okay. So we'll merge these all up into 6 ships. Right, all 6 ships into 1. And then we'll merge them with 481 when 481 arrives. And yeah, looking at the time, I think I need to go ahead and put a part break in here for YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow. And probably day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. The plan today with this stream is to record 4 parts or until we win, whichever happens first. If you're watching on YouTube, as such, there should be parts up for the next couple days, at least until we win the game. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to take a short break to get up, stretch the legs, sip some tea, and then we'll be back to record the next part. So until the next part, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part. And bye for now.